Thank you. Okay. He's here.
We still got a Jeff, though.
Here's Mr. Boldy.
Right.
We have Jeff number 2 tonight.
Change the way we
Oh, sorry. Jeff Sanborn didn't sound very well on the phone.
Alternate Jeff.
Good evening and welcome to the December 11th meeting of the Pinehurst Village Council. First on our agenda, we will have the invocation by Dr. John Jacobs from the Village Chapel, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. So if we will stand, we will be ready. Thank you.
Let us pray. Almighty God, our Heavenly Father, grant to those who hold office in this village the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people, and remembering that it's to God whom we must account for all our powers, privileges, guide the people of Pinehurst in the election of officials and representatives, that by faithful administration and wise laws, the rights of all may be protected and our village be enabled to fulfill your purposes. For yours is the kingdom, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Reverend Jacobs. You are welcome to stay, but you may have some more pressing items on your schedule. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda, we have reports first from our manager.
Okay, obviously Jeff Sanborn is out today. He's ill, so he's having to take a break. Item number 5 on our agenda also, Walt Morgan was going to address the council. He is also out sick, but he did want us to convey, or asked me to convey to the council, senior leadership team, the staff, the village as a whole, that he was very thankful for the support he's received over the years and just how much it's meant to him and how much he has enjoyed working for the village of Pinehurst. So relay that on for him.
Well, he won't get away that easily.
Yeah, he's going to be a hard man to replace.
Yep. Walt's retirement luncheon is scheduled for next Wednesday, the 19th. That'll be at the Fair Barn at noon. Council, of course, is invited. And then on another retirement note, Deputy Chief Ricky Gooch's retirement will be on December 28th for his farewell luncheon as well. And that'll also be at the Fair Barn at noon. Again, council certainly invited to be there.
Good.
Offices will be closed December 25th and 26th. Remind council that we have the community center groundbreaking this Friday at 10 o'clock at the site of the community center in Cannon Park. Also, you guys have a closed session scheduled for Friday morning as another reminder, and that is to do the performance review for the manager. And then you've got meeting Thursday all day long pretty much for council interviews, so for the vacant seat that we currently have. So just reminding you of those items. And also this week we did swear in and had started our new deputy chief. Glenn Webb is here with us at the village now, and he has taken his seat and is getting underway. So we welcome him. He came to us from Greenville, North Carolina. So those are the items I believe I have for now.
I just have a few minor items. I spoke to some Boy Scouts on a Saturday afternoon, and they were most interested in 2 things. Number 1, I brought a lot of maps. They love the maps. And number 2, they couldn't figure out how I tell time with my watch because it doesn't have any numbers on it. So, I've already heard that from my grandkids. Tomorrow, I'm going to be giving a welcome for Natalie's, where is Natalie? There she is. There's a conference that Natalie is attending. I can't remember the name of the conference. local government budget officers. I'm going to give a welcome for that. And I'm very pleased to say that the North Carolina Magazine, they're going to be here January 4th, 5th, and 6th for one of their outings that they have, and they've asked me to give a welcome for them. So I'm just really excited about welcoming all these people. It's part of the job. Kevin,
A signed report for a couple things in the.
in the microphone, please, microphone.
The CVB is one of them, and I was there last night at the brewery where the USGA had both the Senior Women's Open Trophy and the U.S. Amateur Trophy, where you get your pictures taken with it. And I think it's important for people to know we have 2 championships, USGA championships next year. And we're going to have championships lined up for the next 5 years. So I just want to remind everybody of that.
Awesome, thank you, Kevin. John?
On Thursday, as Jeff Batten said, well, there's an all-day session for us here, and we're going to be reviewing some applicants, which will not allow me to participate in the Triangle Area Rural meetings dealing with traffic and road structures and everything. But on the agenda, all the municipalities in Moore County have approved the Moore County Comprehensive Transportation Plan, and it's going forward up through the chain of command, if you will, to the state, so that'll take place. And what also was shown on the agenda is the scoring for the projects that we've spoken about in the past dealing with Pinehurst. That is 15, from 211 down 5 to the end of the village limit. That looks like a scoring very, very well, and will be funded, as well as projects along 211. So the projects we were most interested in are being scored, and then for regionally, it's the 15501 and Morganton Interchange. That scored really well too. So those 3 projects look like they're well on their way for statewide funding. Thank you.
Judy?
I'll just add a little more detail to the dates for the different events. The Pine Needles will be May 16th to 19th. That is the second U.S. Women's Senior Open. And then it'll be in August, the 12th to the 18th for the U.S. Amateur. For just the U.S. Amateur alone, we need 800 volunteers. So if you've ever thought about volunteering for golf, now's a really good time. It's also a great opportunity to get out and see really top-notch young players out there playing. And then the Senior Women's Open, we hopefully will have Donna Andrews from Pine Needles will be out playing and hopefully qualify. Both of those will add a lot of resources in our retail environment with out-of-town visitors. And we have some really terrific young people that will be playing as well. So important things there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Judy. Okay, the next item is our consent agenda, and all of these items can be approved under one motion.
I move to approve all items listed and considered routine on the consent agenda.
Second that.
We have a motion by John Boldry and a second by Kevin Drum. Is there any discussion? If not, let's vote. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Thank you. That's unanimous, Beth. We're skipping number 5, then we go to number 6.
Yes, Brooke and John Frank with Dixon Hughes Goodman is here to present their findings of the audit and our comprehensive annual financial report.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This evening, we have for you the presentation of the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report for fiscal year 2018. These financial statements have been prepared in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, and they've been audited in accordance with governmental auditing standards. They were audited by a firm that's of independent licensed CPAs. Mr. John Frank is here with us tonight. He is a partner on the engagement. He represented from Dixon Hughes Goodman. He's going to give you some information on the firm's opinion. In addition to the CAFR document in your boxes, you'll also find a separate report, and that's required to be provided to you all who are those in charged with governance. And so it's to the mayor and the village council. And that just kind of highlights some of the auditor's responsibilities, management's responsibilities, and that sort of thing. So I'm going to pass it over to John and let him provide you all with some highlights and the firm's opinion.
All right, thank you, Brooke. Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Appreciate you allowing me to come by this afternoon to discuss the audit report for fiscal 2018. I know that each of you received a copy of the comprehensive annual financial report prior to this afternoon's meeting, and hopefully you've had a chance to review that. I know that that Brooke discussed in detail the financial results for fiscal 2018 at your budget retreat last week. So hopefully if you had any questions, you were able to get those cleared up then, but I'll be glad to answer any other questions that you might have this afternoon. Just wanted to make a few general comments about this year's audit. Again, this year we did issue a unmodified or clean audit opinion on the village's financial statements. Our auditor's report appears on page 1, and in our opinion, we state there that as a result of our audit, we concluded that the village's financial statements are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, so good, clean opinion. Additionally, this year, the village once again received the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. I think you've probably received this award about 25 years in a row now, so that's a real testament to the fine financial department that you've had here at Pinehurst. And overall, as you've seen, the financial position of the village did improve this year. Total fund balance of the general fund increased modestly by about $8,700, but bear in mind that this increase is net of a transfer of approximately $344,000 from the general fund into the Community Center Capital Projects Fund that took place in fiscal 18. General fund unassigned fund balance, which is something I know you keep an eye on, amounted to about $4.4 million at the end of the fiscal year, which represented about 25% of annual expenditures. The policy of the village is to maintain a minimum of 15% of 1 year's expenditures in unassigned fund balance, so you're above that minimum level. Total fund balance at the end of the fiscal year amounted to about 55% of annual expenditures, which I think, as you discussed last week, that's very much in line with the average of your peer group. Total general fund revenues this year were up about $266,000 or 1.5%. The biggest part of that increase came from property taxes, which were up about $132,000 over the prior year. This is a result of increased primarily residential construction within the village. Sales tax revenues were also up by about $68,000, which is reflective of increased tourism and general economic activity. So nice increases in those two main sources of general fund revenue. Debt, of course, was down this year. Outstanding debt was paid down by approximately $329,000 as a result of scheduled principal payments on installment debt, and all expenditures fell within budgetary limits. So overall, very nice financial results. We did issue one other report, which is in the compliance section of the comprehensive annual financial report. It's on page 82. This is our report on internal control over financial reporting, which we're required to issue under government auditing standards. And in this report, we basically state that we did not become aware of any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in internal controls as a result of the audit. And we also reported that we didn't identify any material instances of noncompliance with laws, regulations, contracts, and grant agreements. We were not required to perform a federal or state single audit this year. As you may or may not know, if your federal grant expenditures exceed $750,000, you're required to have a federal single audit. And in this year, those expenditures only amounted to a couple of $1,000s. And the threshold for a state single audit is $500,000. Current fiscal year, you fell just under that at about $498,000. So there was, in this year's audit report, you'll notice that there's no single audit because of that. We also issued another report outside of the audit report. where we're required to address required communications with this board. In this report, we state that our responsibility under audit standards is to express an opinion on financial statements, to consider internal controls, and to test for compliance with laws and regulations. And as I mentioned, we had no material weaknesses, significant deficiencies there to report. If there had been any difficulties in performing the audit or disagreements with management, we would have reported on them in this report, but having none, we didn't have any such issues to report. So overall, very good audit, and I just want to commend Brooke for doing a great job of transitioning into the finance officer's role this year, as well as preparing for the audit. So went very smoothly, and she did a great job of following behind Mr. Fry, who did an excellent job for many years. So
Absolutely.
those are the only comments I have, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that you might have about the audit or about the financial report.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions by council members?
Brooke, is the fund balance, does that have the community center money? Is that why it's 55%?
That's exactly right. So
Yeah,
the community center, the construction
Yeah.
is budgeted in FY 2019.
So that's why it's...
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's high. That's exactly
Reconcile
right.
that.
That's exactly right.
Not really that high.
Right. We will draw down on that 55, 56%. We're going to draw down on that this year. That's exactly right.
Other questions? No questions? Okay.
Great job.
It's always good to get good news.
It is. It's hard to question good news, too. And Brooke, thank you. As was stated, your first year, you handled it beautifully. We just didn't see any change from when our good old John Fry was here. So thank you, Brooke.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
John.
Good handoff.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, next item, number 7, Jeff.
Next item is to consider a request being made by the retiring Deputy Chief Ricky Gooch to be awarded his service revolver and his badge. North Carolina General Statute gives you that authority to do so if you are so inclined, and then we have a policy that dictates retirement and recognition gifts, and Angie will kind of hit the highlights of that.
Those are really the highlights. Ricky is leaving actually the same day Walt is, on the 28th of December. So he has requested to be able to purchase his service revolver for the amount listed in the policy, and as long as he gets the proper credentials that he needs as a private citizen.
Okay. Okay, 2 very key people retiring at the same time. That's going to be difficult. Okay. Do we need a motion on that,
There is an
Jeff?
action item for this.
A motion, then.
I move to approve the request for retiring Deputy Chief Ricky Gooch to purchase his service revolver and be awarded his badge upon retirement.
I second that.
We have a motion by Judy Davis and a second by Kevin Drum. Is there any discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say no. Thank you very much. That's unanimous, Beth. Thank you, Angie. Okay, next, number 8, Jeff.
Yeah, this is an item to consider appointing new members to serve on the Historic Preservation Committee. Eric von Salzen and Terry Lurtz are considered for appointment by you, and Eric's appointment would begin January 1st, and he would replace Christine Dandino. Terry's appointment would be effective February 1st, and he's replacing Bob Farron. So if you are so inclined to go with the recommendation, there is a resolution that would need to be approved.
Gentlemen, we have seen your bios, very, very impressive bios. And Molly, thank you for your time in selecting and interviewing. We appreciate it very much. Are there any
Have any questions of them? I mean, we can bring them forward if you so desire.
questions?
We got the applications prior to this, or we'd have a
Yeah.
lot more questions. They were very impressive. I don't know the addresses. I don't know what neighborhood you guys live. I was just wondering.
Y'all want to step to the mic, to the table there if you don't mind?
Very impressive, and I just was,
Our meetings are recorded, so if you're not speaking into a microphone, there's just this dead silence.
All right, am I speaking properly into
You
the
are.
microphone? Thank you.
You are.
I'm Eric von Salzen. I live at 15 Wilson Road in Pinehurst. exactly a 5-minute drive from here in afternoon traffic.
Great.
Afternoon traffic, hey. Terry?
My name is Terry Lurch, and I live at 4 Buckingham Place in Cotswold.
Fantastic. And, you've answered, all my questions are answered in the application. Very impressive.
I think
Thank
the
you for serving. Yeah.
fact that both of you have such interesting historic background, foundation backgrounds, will be very beneficial to us in your new roles. So thank you so much for your service.
I just wanted to add my thank you for stepping forward to volunteer, as a volunteer for this important positions that you're filling. So a lot of work goes into the agenda, and your time and your attention to detail will be most appreciative by not only us, but the citizens and residents in the village. So thank you very much for volunteering. Well done, and good luck.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Are we ready for a motion?
I move to approve Resolution 18-33, appointing Eric Von Salzen and Terry Lurch to the Historic District Commission.
Thank-
We have a motion by Kevin Drum and a second by Judy Davis. Is there any discussion? If not, I'll ask for your vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, gentlemen. That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. A lot of work, but you won't be unhappy with it at all. Okay, next, pay and classification.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Angie to come back for this one. This is some minor changes to our pay and position classification plan. Angie can kind of highlight the adjustments, but they're fairly minor.
Yeah, we brought this policy to you, I think earlier this fall. I think we had made some changes to the actual pay plan, pay grades. We're not doing any of that. That piece is staying the same. Just a few minor clarifications on the policy piece that we realized we may need to, one thing we need to change and a couple things just to clarify. One thing we added was on the merit pay section. We indicated that the merit increase was 0 to 3%. That could potentially change every year, and we didn't have language in the policy to make sure that people were aware of that. So we just added some language at the end of that section to indicate that that range, that 0 to 3%, is up for review every year during the budget process, and it could change from year to year. In the lump sum payment section, this is for folks who are at the top of the particular pay range for their job, and we do give those folks an opportunity to have a lump sum payout of the 0 to 3% performance. It does not add to their base pay, so it does not compound. That's one of the side effects, I guess, of reaching the top of the pay range. And we've just added the same language to that particular section, indicating that 0 to 3% could change every year during the budget process, depending on what is approved. The final recommendation that we are making in the cost of living adjustment section, the policy currently reads that any employee hired through June 30th would be eligible for the COLA on July 1. Since the COLA percentage is determined at the end of the calendar year, at the end of December, we felt that it would be appropriate to say that any employee hired by December 31st would be eligible for that COLA increase on July 1st. Correct. And those were the only 3 changes we made.
Thank you, Angie. Any questions about the changes?
I just have a question about the term during the strategic operating plan process. Is
Right.
that well understood? And is it a specific calendar time?
It is. People understand because of the number of years where we've transitioned from the budget process to the strategic operating plan process. The employees do understand what that is, and they do understand that it occurs in the spring of the year.
And is there a definition of that? I mean, I didn't see it in this document.
It's probably not in this document. We could add clarification for that if you would prefer.
Yeah, every year in our strategic operating plan is a calendar. It's a defined period of time, and the deadlines are indicated there inside that document.
It's just not in this policy.
Yeah,
Not
so
in that
it might
policy.
just be useful to reference it somewhere in your overall document so that
Absolutely.
you land it and people know. Yeah,
We can do that. That's not a problem. I'll adjust that
right.
to
Thank you.
reflect that.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay.
If not, then I move to approve Resolution 18-34, amending the policy of the administration of the position classification and pay plan.
I'll second that with the addition of what Judy wanted you to change.
The addition, okay. Thank you. We have a motion by John Baldry and a second by Kevin Drum. Is there any additional discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say no. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, next, we have a budget amendment.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Brooke to come forward in case you have any questions for her, but essentially what is happening is the Public Services Building has developed some leaks over the last 6 months, and we've been patching them, but we're at a point that that's no longer a viable option. We need to replace that roof. We've got tarps on the building right now to keep the water out, but obviously that's a short-term solution. So what we'd like to do is to get council to approve a budget amendment moving our Buildings and Grounds contingency funds of $11,500 down to the Buildings and Grounds capital line item. The $11,500 would cover the cost of the roof repair, but it exceeds our ability to execute that internally and requires your action. But it's something that we need to do. It's not, I can tell you, it says over 20 years on the memorandum. I know it's been at least 23 years because I've been here since 1995, and it's not been replaced since then, so it predates at least that.
Well, we can't have a leaky building, so.
And this is the building right across from Clark Cadillac?
Yes, ma'am. This is the offices of the Public Services Administration.
Right.
Coincidence that Walt's retiring, and now you got to replace, so he was up there patching it?
Been putting buckets around until,
No, I would not let, as the risk manager for the village, I wouldn't let him up on that roof. But yeah, it's something has evolved over the, like I said, about the last 6 months. Of course, we were already in our budget process or period at the time that these began to show up. So it's just an unfortunate matter that does need to be addressed before we
Okay.
have worse damage.
that's number 10. Do we have a motion to approve the ordinance?
I move to approve ordinance 18-27, a budget amendment for replacing the roof of the Public Services Administration building.
Second?
We have a motion by Kevin Drum and a second by Judy Davis. Is there any discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you, that's unanimous.
And
Thank you, Brooke.
just for clarification, this is not increasing the budget.
Just
overall.
moving
It's
from
just
one
moving some funds
category
from
to another.
operating down to capital within the same department.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, number 11 is our 2019 meeting schedule.
Yes, I think y'all have pretty much have seen most of this, these dates and times. The biggest thing on here is the work sessions are not delineated on the calendar here. I believe we're going to kind of work those in as we need to.
As needed.
So if you adopt this schedule, we can publish it one time. We've met the statutory requirements for the year. So it's kind of some housekeeping, but it also does set your calendars for the year in terms of meetings. And again, work sessions would be worked into this calendar schedule based on as the need arises.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Any questions?
I think part of our rationale was that we hope that we can do better advanced planning so that we understand what's in the agenda package for the regular meetings so that we can decide, do we need when we need work sessions to precede some item for the regular meeting.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty accurate there, Judy. There's also, I think, some timing, and I'm looking at Natalie here, that she's trying to work into when you have significant items that have come out of P&Z that you can have a work session to really get, dive into the details of that information or that whatever development, subdivision, whatever it may be, prior to you having a formal meeting on it, public, and whether that's public hearing and or action, but
Okay.
Yeah, it might be a work session 4 to 8 times a year instead of every time. Maybe more significant commitment of time into the work sessions and less putting it at the end of the meeting or before. I almost feel like 4 quarterly separate work sessions would be stronger than putting it at the beginning and end of the meeting. So I think this is still open.
Sure.
We haven't solved it
Fluid,
yet.
yeah.
It needs to fit our needs, and those are going to vary. So we'll make sure that it's convenient for everyone and that it's scheduled appropriately.
It's important for us to have viable work sessions, though.
Right. I agree, Kevin. Okay.
I move to approve the 2019 council meeting schedule.
Second.
We have a motion by Judy Davis and a second by John Baldry. Is there any additional discussion? If not, let's vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Thank you. That's unanimous, Beth. Next is other business. Any other business from council members? Oh. John and I each received a letter.
I got one, too.
I'm sorry, did everybody received one? Okay. From Senator Tom McGinnis wanting to assign 2 people to attend a meeting on Monday about transportation issues and get our input on what he wants us to do with the General Assembly. Now, John Baldry, you're able to go. Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to go? I can go if needed.
I know it was limited to 2, but that makes sense.
It is
Yeah,
limited to, with, he's.
But
think
I had
he's-
it marked off on my calendar already.
So would you like to go?
But Judy, sounds like she might want
Judy,
to
would
go.
you like to go?
I'm fine.
Okay.
All right, John and Kevin are going to go.
It's already put it in my calendar.
Yeah,
Oh, you did, good. Aberdeen Lake Park, and I believe he's inviting all of the municipalities, and that's why it's limited to 2 members, and y'all can report back to us what happens, and 1 staff member as well, so maybe that's
it'll probably be Jeff or
probably Jeff Sanborn
Natalie, one of the 2.
or Natalie, okay.
I'm out of town.
One of the Jeffs.
One of the
I'm out of
Jeffs.
town, so it can't be me on Monday.
Cut out. Okay, any,
Just for everybody's information, the letterhead indicates that Senator McGinnis chairs the appropriations portion of the department. He's a co-chair for the Department of Transportation and Appropriations, and he's also the co-chair of Transportation. I did have a chance to speak with him about the beginning of last month, and the mayor's exactly right. They're looking at an overall transportation review in southern Moore County with a focus on the municipalities, and then to see how what can be leveraged from the state down to the counties, and then in turn down to us for the projects we have. Many of them are in the comprehensive transportation plan. Some of them are in a long-range strategic plan. So I'm looking for it to be a pretty good discussion, not only for the village, but also for our immediate region in southern Moore County.
okay, thank you, John. Any,
The time on that meeting, I did not see that.
2 p.m.,
Make sure that one of our staff.
2 to 4 at Aberdeen Lake Park Recreation Center. Okay, any more business from council members?
Yes, if Jeff Sanborn was here, he would have said to Mr. Lurch, "Go blue." I know he would have said that.
He would have said go
University of
blue?
Michigan guy. I know, so I'm just going to do it for him.
Okay.
He might have also mentioned something about Army.
Army Navy game,
Wait.
Army.
Thanks, Judy. Wait till next year.
Army seems to win every year. That's all I can figure out.
They were 14 years in a row, Navy wins.
Oh,
So
I didn't remember that.
Army's got a ways to go, and Navy is overall in the rivalry is ahead by several games.
All I know is what I've seen the past few years. Okay, any other business from council members? If not, then we'll go to comments from attendees. Any comments from attendees? Tom Campbell. You know, it's just-
No, how could you, right?
We moved
Anyway,
that down.
Tom Campbell, I believe it was a week ago Wednesday that there was something in the pilot on the medical building, and it left me wondering if, since they've seemed to backed out, but yet it did go on to say that they could come back in, maybe, if the council wished to proceed further. So I'd just like an update on where that is. Thank you.
I believe they have withdrawn their application, and they're looking at another site in another municipality. That's about all we know. Okay, thank you, Tom. Other comments from attendees? Yes, ma'am. What's her name? Kay Pearson from number 6.
I'm Kay Pearson, 45 Brandon Trail. Dear Madam Mayor, council members, and fellow citizens, I attended and spoke.
Kay, if I may, these are microphones for the public. That's for the staff. Could you?
Well, I'm uncomfortable with my back to my fellow citizens. So does this go through the system?
Yeah,
Do you mind?
you're speaking to us.
Then I get
and-
to speak, but I have addressed to the fellow citizens as well, because some of my information is informational for them as well.
Okay.
I appreciate it. I attended and spoke at the public hearing of last week's Planning and Zoning Board meeting regarding the proposed minimum heated square foot text amendment. After listening to citizens' concerns and questions, it was evident more study, data, and/or information was needed to continue the process. In addition, one major concern voiced was the relevance of the mandated statement of consistency with our 2010 Comprehensive Long-Range Village Plan. This also raised the question of its applicability with our long-range plan, whose purpose is to guide us forward into the future. I would gladly email a link to you folks to a recent Coats and Cannons blog by UNC School of Government professor David Owens on plan consistency statements, which also includes a link to their planning and zoning law bulletin dated November of 2018. So they literally just put this up on their website. According to the bulletin, the Village of Pinehurst, along with other communities, participated in this survey about comprehensive plans. It was very interesting, and it was just very comprehensive and very good. And to quote the bulletin, this bulletin on plan consistency analysis sets out the law to be followed and reports on how cities and counties are doing. The statutes in North Carolina and in most every state around the country require that zoning be undertaken in accordance with a comprehensive plan. Given that our comprehensive plan is currently under review, I respectfully ask the board to rescind and table this request to the planning board until the new comprehensive plan is complete. In closing, the 2010 Comprehensive Plan for the Village of Pinehurst states, and I quote, "If the comprehensive plan is to be successfully realized, it must serve as a guide to all residents, businesses, and individuals interested in the orderly growth of Pinehurst. This proposed text amendment appears to be a short-term solution with long-term effects that would encourage uncontrolled growth instead of the present comprehensive plan's guiding statement of orderly growth." Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Okay, if not, seeing no hands raised, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn the regular meeting.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Wow.